Gold. It's a lot like a beautiful love. When you've got it, you've got lots of it. And when it's gone, it's hard to get back. So that's what we're going to do in this video. This is one of these viewer requested videos, which was requested on Discord to shout out to all the lovely people that do come out every day and interact on Discord. Links are in the description. Now let's face it, nowadays ranking up certain champions does take too much gold than we'd actually like. And with, but let's face it, 7 stars likely to come next year. Let's face it, rank 4, 6 stars are going to be coming as well. You know, it's a case that our gold ranking up these lovely champions just, well, it comes and goes very quickly. And to be honest, the more permanent content I do, the more I'm finding that that gold that I get in huge chunks goes very quickly. Even after, in the space of a week, doing an initial completion of Variant 1 and an initial completion of Act 6.3, which at the time netted me about 1.5 mil, and added to what I had, I think it brought it to 3 mil, it was very quickly gone. So what options do I have at my disposal in order to gather more gold and quickly? From an endgame player's perspective, it is a case that's a lot more easier. For those that are kind of like mid to kind of like uncollected, just about hitting Cavalier, or just started, just grabbed Cavalier, it's going to be very difficult to go, look, permanent content wise, I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. But you need to get gold a lot quicker than just saying, look, just do permanent content. Now, one good thing and one bad thing is the inclusion of Incursions. Now, you might think that this is great. We've got an event now that you can gather huge amounts, hundreds of thousands of gold. But obviously, it does come with the problem that you have to really rely on your, let's face it, randomly appointed person to then get you through the zones in order to pick up the good, the great amounts of gold for it. And a lot of the times I would say, if you are thinking about using this as a gold gathering method, I would try to find somebody that is able to do a high amount of zones. Obviously, that's not the easiest thing to have, and having an Incursions buddy largely depends on players' availability, especially now with obviously the global pandemic. At the point of recording this video, it is going to be better to grab somebody, but as well, it's not the ideal situation. And finding a friend that does play the game does make this a lot better. So try and network people and find somebody that you have a good rapport with, can communicate over things like the Line app, or as well having something like Discord, voice calls. That is something to make this a little bit more of a better experience. However, that kind of interaction may not be your bag. One thing to point out is that Kabam do have something for those that have a Summoner Sigil. The gold pool fight, if you do have a Summoner Sigil, every Monday will give you an opportunity to get 125,000 gold. And that is relatively good. I hope this does increase, especially as the Summoner Sigil evolves. And we're nearly 1 year into the launch of this, and I would love to see this being ramped up. And I would suggest for those that maybe think about forgetting this, because I know a lot of people that do forget this, is set an alarm on a weekly basis just so that you know when this goes live to do it, and as well smash it out before it resets. But are there any other places to grab a quick bit of gold? One thing I would recommend is plan your grind around the 22-hour events. And why that's so important is largely based on the rewards. And look, it's not a huge amount of gold, but everything adds up. Level up, arena wins, event quest completion when it is on. Just check it out, because look, you get a little bit of gold to start with, a little bit more gold down the end, and as well the revive, which is helpful, units as well, going down to the 2 gold crystals there. And one thing to again stress is, if every little counts, wherever you are at the game, it's important to just grab some of these, and you'll find that you may even like stack up about 30 plus and not know about it. And when you're popping them open, you've got what, 70, 80k of gold, which again helps and adds up. Also, the further you go down the game, scrimping is going to be quite important. And what I'm referring to when it comes to scrimping is basically looking at stuff like tier 1 basic catalyst. If you're not ranking up lower champions for things like Variant 4, which is vitally important, maybe think it down the line, you'll find you're getting loads of things like tier 1 basic catalysts, and like, well, what do I do with these? And you do have an option. Most of the time I just sell these. It's 3,500 gold, but again, it's all about scrimping on these, and as well the same thing applies for as you go further up. I find I need more tier 3 basics for a few things that are in the Black ISO market store, and as well, like as I go through this, you know, again, more scrimping, more selling of this stuff. It's just more gold adds in. We had 200k a moment ago before doing that little quest there with gold pool. Now it's up to 328k. Obviously you can build that by selling those things, but one of the most effective things is popping prems, popping crystals, and selling some of the stuff, in particular ISO. Selling ISO can be seen as more of a last resort, and especially if you've got no champions you want to rank up in immediate future, but as well have a sufficient amount of ISO. And when you progress on, you will find it getting a lot more of the tier 5, especially where you go from questing purposes. And this can generate a really nice amount of gold to sell. But again, let me reiterate, this should be as a last resort, and especially, like I said, if you've got expiring ISO, because that's another thing, expiring ISO, you know, you're not going to be able to use it, you may not have the inventory stash to hold it, so you may be then willing to go, look, let's just sell this in order to gather more gold for a time that I'm actually going to be bothering to rank up champions and level up champions. Now, just going back to a subject which we touched on earlier, and that is selling of catalysts. This again is an iffy one based on things like your ISO, but if you are overstacking when it comes to your catalyst stash, then maybe it's important to look. Now, I do keep a very low stash. I do try not to overflow based on tier 3 classes and as well tier 4 classes. Unfortunately, you can't sell tier 4 class catalysts at the moment because obviously that would generate tier 5, and obviously Kabam treat tier 5 class catalysts as the most premium thing in game at the moment. So what I tend to do is not open my tier 4 class catalysts, and the same can be for my tier 3. However, I'm at a point in time in the game where I can just pop these open and make the decision whether or not I want to sell them. Currently, I do not, because I still need them to take the 5 stars up further, but I would largely say if you are feeling that you've got no rank up options of a certain type and you want to gain some gold, there is a good amount of gold on offer for selling tier 3 class catalysts and tier 3 basics, obviously, as we said earlier. But again, let me just stress, this is one of these last result situations, and as you can see here, there is a good amount on offer. 5 selling gives you back 8k. But look, you know, you have to make the decision whether or not it's of value, and at the same time whether or not you're desperate for tier 4 class catalysts, because you do get some back by selling them. But obviously it does apply that if you're in an alliance and you're spending your glory, then you would be getting better opportunities to grab more tier 4 class catalysts. So selling for the purpose of this may be a bit of a futile nature, especially if you want to bring up 5 stars to like your rank 1s, rank 2s, before then thinking about rank 3s and rank 4s with a tier 4 class catalyst. Now, being in Alliance as you're progressing on does give the opportunity to gather gold back into your inventory, but at the same time, the more competitive you move up, the more your gold will be lost. And this is the time that I was trying not to kind of like talk about it too much, but yeah, at the end of the day, arena grinding, apart from the permanent content, will be one of the best ways to gather the resources. And whether or not you're doing things like the class catalyst arenas, the Catalyst Clash that is, like Alpha, which I'm doing at the moment, and any of the other ones will give the opportunity to gather back gold on the resources. As Kabam look to then improve things when it comes to gold, look, you know, from milestones 4,250, 9,000, 17,000, it adds up from the early milestones, which is great. Doesn't mean you have to extensively grind too much, but still it is there with certain arenas that you do. And as well, popping over things like battle chips and those arena crystals are very important to gather again back that gold and resource that you may have lost. And you can give a good opportunity to gather back hundreds of thousands of gold in a weekly basis, which, let's face it, is one of the best ways if you're not doing incursions and you don't like that. And as well, if you're a quester, that is another thing, use your energy, as the more you quest on a monthly basis, the more gold you will gather back. Yes, some rewards are not really there for giving a huge amount back. The heroic doesn't give back much gold to the player, and then as well with master, uncollected, again, just not a huge amount of gold back to the player from the point of rewards. But there's a case you can pick up a good amount from questing purposes. And there are some other areas to consider, like your variants and like your permanent content, like your Labyrinth of Legends, Abyss of Legends, so many other places out there. But I'd largely say for those that are up and coming players, and for those that don't want to get too bored and bogged down with the game, I'd mix it up. It's important when you pick up the game and when you're not an endgame player perspective, in order to keep it fresh and fun, is to say, right, well, I'm going to do a little bit of incursions today. I'll try to get somewhere or someplace with this random person, or try and find a friend to get further with incursions. As well, consider things like doing arena grinding just a little bit, lots of questing if you can, maybe do arena for a little bit, gather the units, spend it on energy refills and get yourself through some lower end content that's not too stressful, and at the same time look to other areas as well, alliance-based participation. Try and make sure that you put in your arena grinding and event quests when things like 22-hour events are on, and not to mention the fact that if you've got stuff that is expiring in your stash, to sell them, as that will be a good way to kind of like sell that. So obviously as well, just keep like little types of reminders to yourself. Mix it up, make sure you're not too bogged down with the stress of the game, and just try and enjoy those little things and just mix it up on a daily basis to gather back that gold. Also, something to mention which is really important is that the objective crystals are these nice little extras and helpful bits that you as a player need. So make sure to check your objectives. And if you're in Alliance, which I'm currently not at the moment, is just have a look at these and just grabbing them because they do really help. The dailies are important as well, so follow the instructions. And as well, look out for anything else the Kabam may be running, and especially from your journey, your summoner's journey, which again, all these things help out towards the player, whether or not it's shards, whether or not 1 month, which obviously this month they're doing something special when it comes to shards or rank up resources, is to look up things that they may be doing that could be gathering a huge amount of gold for you as a player. I'm sure as well Kabam will try and sort out some improvements when it comes to stuff like this, but yeah, just check it out and obviously make sure to watch the channel because we'll be talking about new things that will be coming into the game in the future. I think the main thing to reiterate in this video is that getting gold is relatively straightforward, but in order to do it, you will have to do certain things. If you spend an entire day grinding arena, then yes, you're going to gather a huge amount of gold by popping open those battle chips. And as well, if you do the uncollected arena crystals, then yes, more than likely you will pick up gold as opposed to things like units or energy refills or a 5-star Punisher. But as well, it's incredibly boring to do that. So it's important to mix it up. Do a little bit of arena, then do a little bit of questing, and as well anything else that's maybe on that. Event questing, permanent questing, and as well incursions. Mix it up and I'm sure you'll find a nice process on a daily basis to grind, and especially during this quarantine stage that we've got at the moment. But obviously when it's back to normal, mix it up. One day a little bit of arena, the next day a little bit of questing, the next day a little bit of incursions. You know what I mean. And thank you very much to those that requested this video. I've got another little request video that's going to be posted today, so Tuesday, so make sure to check it out, and as well some recent content up here, some supporting links here, and I'll see you later on for a little live stream. Bye bye for now.